Hi, Helen here. So in this video, I am going to explain what the mind-body connection is, and I am going to talk about the components of the mind-body connection, the different parts of the brain and the role that it plays. And then I'm going to show you what stress response is, what trauma is, and tie it all together to explain why all of this is important for you to know. Okay? So, in my previous life, I was, as I've mentioned in previous videos, that I was a psychotherapist, and I worked with all kinds of people who had all kinds of struggles, depression, anxiety, PTSD, and my main way of helping them was through talk therapy. We would talk through what was going on, and essentially what would happen is, or what my goal was, to help people understand what's going on, and I'll offer them tools and skills to handle their problems. But what was really missing in my toolkit was I didn't incorporate this understanding of the mind-body connection. And so I've really taken some time to understand what it is. And so I'm going to attempt to show you what the mind-body connection is. So it includes the brain, the nervous system, neurotransmitters. That's how the brain and the nervous system communicate. The nervous system, the hormone system, your body, your organs, your skeleton, your muscles, your skin, and the fluids. Now, the brain was designed to function as a cohesive unit, right? And each aspect of the brain processes information and protects us in very particular ways, okay? So, first of all, we're going to start with the different aspects of the brain. So we have the neocortex, which Elizabeth Stanley, in her book Widening the Window, also refers to it as the thinking brain. The thinking brain is responsible for all the conscious decisions that you make, all of your ethical choices, your reasoning, your abstract thinking, your analytical capabilities. All of that is part of your thinking brain. This part of your brain allows you to focus, recall information, keep in mind, update relevant information, and makes decisions. Now, if you want to know that your thinking brain is engaged, you will know that by all the running commentary that your mind is making, all the thinking, all the comparing, all the judgment, and all the narration. That is your thinking brain. And the way the thinking brain protects us is it analyzes, it anticipates, it deliberates, and it decides. So, again, the first aspect of the brain that I just talked about is the neocortex, or the thinking brain, okay? The second part of the brain that I want to talk about, again, I'm referring a lot of this information I got from Elizabeth Stanley's book, Widening the Window, so I want to give credit to her. So the second part of the brain that we're going to talk about is the survival brain. Now, the survival brain includes our limbic brain and the reptilian part of the brain. And together, those two parts of the brain are called the survival brain. So our survival brain plays a key role in all our emotions, our stress, our relationships, our habits, and essentially all our basic survival functions, okay? And the job of the survival brain is to assess for threat. And it does that unconsciously. So it'll scan the environment, external and both external and internal, to see if there's any threat to you. And its job is also to assess for opportunities, for safety, for pleasure. Because again, our brains are designed for to move away from threat and to move towards pleasure. That is how the survival brain works. Its job is to move away from threats, towards safety, and towards pleasure. Okay? Now, the survivor brain is not verbal. It doesn't communicate to us through our thinking and narration. Instead, that part of our brain activates neurotransmitters and hormones, which then produce physical sensations and emotional cues in our bodies. The way it does that is it's based on conditioning, things that you've downloaded from your childhood. And so this part of the brain, the survival brain, will produce those hormones and neurotransmitters to produce these physical sensations in your body, to produce emotions in your body. Now, again, remember, all of this is happening unconscious. You're usually not aware of it, okay? Now, the survivor brain is linked to the rest of your body via the autonomic nervous system. And the autonomic nervous system is responsible for the stress arousal and recovery. So stress arousal via the sympathetic nervous system, and then recovery via the parasympathetic nervous system. Okay, got that? Now, so what is stress and what is trauma? So stress is an internal response that our mind body creates whenever we are experiencing, or whenever the survival brain thinks there's danger or there's a challenge. And so the mind body system will mobilize energy called stress activation or arousal to respond to that threat or challenge. Okay? And so we are not designed to live in chronic or prolonged stress. Our body is not designed for that. And so when we are in constant stress, that has a negative impact on our bodies because we are not designed to handle or be in that amount of stress. All right? Now, trauma is also an internal response, and it's on a continuum like stress. But unlike stress, trauma occurs trauma occurs when our brain, the survivor brain, believes that the stressful experience is too much for us. We are powerless, helpless, or we don't have control in the face of that experience. That is when trauma occurs. Okay? Now, why is all of this relevant? All of this is relevant because our bodies, our neurobiology is wired just like our cave person ancestors. But we live in a modern age where the stresses that we experience are not, for the most part, are not like being chased by a lion. But the stresses of deadlines, criticism, somebody looking at you sideways, a fight with your partner or with your children. But yet our neurobiology, our mind-body system is going to react the same way it would if you were being chased by a lion. So all of this is important to know because our neurobiology, our mind-body system is still wired just like our cave person ancestors. Now, one more thing to remember about the mind-body system, as I mentioned above, that we are not designed to live in acute survival stress. Our ancestors, when they experienced stress, they followed that by a time of recovery. Remember the two aspects of the autonomic nervous system, the stress or the sympathetic nervous system and the parasympathetic nervous system. After you've been through some stress, you need to allow your body to rest. And our ancestors had that built in where there'll be a time of rest and recovery. But in our modern days, we don't do any of that. We don't do that as much as our ancestors did. Therefore, a lot of us are living in so much stress. We're putting so much stress in our bodies. What do we do about it? Well, this is where EFT tapping comes in. EFT tapping allows us to calm down or turn off the sympathetic nervous system, calm the body down, and lets the body know that you're safe, you're not in any danger. Because the survivor brain is not going to turn on the recovery function if it believes that the body is still in danger. So when you tap, you're letting the brain know, you're letting the survivor brain know that you're safe, you're not in any danger. And so your body can begin to recover. So I hope this was helpful, and thank you so much for listening, okay? And I'll see you in the next video. Bye.